welcome to an episode of Kari in the Cellar. As you may have noticed, we're not in the kitchen today. My husband Jeff's not here today, but we are going to be tasting through some barrels of the 2021 Cabernet Sauvignon that we made, a couple of different vineyards. So I thought we'd do some barrel tasting. The wines have gone through primary fermentation, they've gone through secondary fermentation. Malolactic conversion has happened. The wines have been resting over the holidays, just kind of hanging out and doing what they would do this time of year when it's cool outside, or cold. It was 38 degrees when I got up this morning, so it's cold outside, but they're in cellar temperature, about 55 degrees. So we're going to taste through some things just to see how they're coming along. The 2021 vintage was a great vintage for us. Unfortunately, it's a short vintage for us. We don't have as many barrels as we were hoping for. Many of our vineyard sources came in a little short, pretty much across the board. Farina Sauvignon Blanc in 2021 is delicious, but it came in almost half of what we were really expecting for this vintage. And that's fermenting in the cellar as well. We'll be bottling that up in February. And then the Oakville Station, we get Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Cabernet Sauvignon. And those all came in a little bit short. We'll taste the Merlot today in just a moment. We're going to taste a couple of things. We're going to taste the Untitled Cabernet Sauvignon, which is a new vineyard for us, and we're excited about it since we have moved to Yountville Tasting Room. We're back in Yountville, and we're so happy to be there. And so we have a vineyard source there as well. So we'll taste that Cabernet just coming up here shortly. And then we'll taste the Calistoga Cabernet Sauvignon from the Valley Floor. And then we've got the Howell Mountain that we'll taste down at the end of the row. So we've got some Howell Mountain Cabernet Sauvignon, which is now coming from the Dunn Vineyard, which is really, for us, is coming back home. We've been making, Cornerstone's been making Cabernet Sauvignon from Howell Mountain since our inception in 1991. We just got done celebrating our 30th anniversary as a winery, as a wine brand. And so we're happy that we started up on Howell Mountain with Dunn Vineyard, and we are currently back with them with a long-term agreement. So we'll be sourcing from Howell Mountain for the years to come, and we're super excited about that. So we'll taste that today. So the first thing we're going to do, since we're tasting out of the barrels, you can see we're in the barrel room. We're going to take a little bit of a sample from the Yountville, which is a new vineyard for us. So we're pulling these right out of the barrel. This is a 2-year-old barrel. We have new oak, a combination of new oak and used oak. We keep the barrels for about 4 or 5 years. A brand new barrel is going to give you a lot of oak and some toasty vanilla notes and a lot of wood character. And as the barrels age, there's less oak character, there's less smokiness and toastiness. You still get the minute air exchange, that small little exchange that happens when the wine's spending time in the barrel, but it's not getting a lot of that brand new oak character. So this is just a little bit 2-year-old barrel. And we're going to spit that out just because I've been tasting most of the day. And at some point I'm going to have to drive away from the winery, so we do spit. What's nice about being here in barrel tasting is we can just spit right onto the floor, into the drains, so that helps. So this Yountville Cabernet, it's right also out on the Valley Floor, right off the Yountville Crossroad, very close to the Silverado Trail for those of you that didn't get a chance to visit us. It's a beautifully farmed vineyard by a family that's been farming in here for almost 100 years. We're actually very fortunate to get the fruit from them. So starting in 2021, we'll have a Yountville appellation designate in our lineup, and so we'll be able to sell that to our guests that come to the Yountville tasting room. So that was the Yountville. So that if we come follow me, we're going to come down a little bit farther. Sorry about the jump off this stuff. We got some barrels from the Oakville Station and from the Merlot, and so this is a vineyard we've been sourcing from for about 16 years. It's owned by the University of California at Davis. It is part of the Tokelon Vineyard Resource Cabernet Sauvignon. Cabernet Franc and Merlot from this vineyard. And so this is the Merlot, and again, unfortunately, we were shorted on this. Mother Nature just wasn't putting out that much fruit out onto the vines. It was a drought year, a terrible drought year. So the vines were doing the best they could, but they're trying to also preserve themselves. So they wanted to throw out a little bit less fruit, which keeps the vine a little bit healthier for years to come. And in a week or two, we'll be out pruning in these vineyards, so we'll have a chance to kind of check in and see. We've gotten plenty of rain so far over the winter, so not that the drought has been alleviated completely. The water that we're getting in these last few months here in Napa have really helped out quite a bit. And so this is the Merlot. I'm going to pour a little bit. So we've got the 2021 Merlot from the Oakville Station, and we originally sourced this fruit so that it's a blend into the Cabernet Sauvignon from Oakville Station and the Cabernet Franc, but there's just a few barrels each year that stand out on their own, and so we do bottle them separately. We put them under a single varietal Merlot bottle. Again, we'll spit that out as much as I don't want to. I'll spit that out. So 2021 was really a good vintage for us. Last night I had the opportunity to taste through the 2018 Merlot from Oakville Station and a couple of our 18 wines as we're getting ready to release them. In March, the Wine Club will be getting the 2018 Merlot, and so it's fun to be able to taste that and maybe taste this side by side. They have the telltale threads. There was a similarity. Obviously, each vintage is different, but there's a similarity. And this vineyard is known to give us very effusive aromas, kind of intense, kind of like, wow, this is going to be a big, outstanding wine. But then you get that first sip, and there's a roundness and a softness to it. There's a lovely kind of fleshy roundness that is texture and flavor. And then it ends on the smooth note where the black cherry, the blackberry, and a little bit of that chocolate hint, and that might be from the Tokalan vineyard influence, that kind of lingers on the finish. And it, for me, it just ends up having me want to taste it again and go back to it. So I am very happy. We've been sourcing this fruit from Oakville Station for about 15 years now. And we've got the barrel program pretty dialed in. We know which barrels work well with this fruit in particular. We tweak it a little bit each year depending on what the vintage brings. Some years you can use a little bit more new oak, and some years you have to dial back on the new oak. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but we do know which keepers are producing the oak barrels that really work well with these wines. And then there's one more wine I'm going to taste. Come on with me. Come on down. Thanks for joining me. Howell Mountain. So this is our Howell Mountain Cabernet Sauvignon, and we only have just a few barrels of it. We were hoping to get way more than we did, unfortunately. So I'm gonna pull out, let's see, we'll put out a little bit, get a little barrel sample. So this is the 2021 Cornerstone Cellars Howell Mountain. This is our flagship wine. We have been making Howell Mountain since our inception in 1991. 30 years now we've been making wine from the Howell Mountain AVA, beautiful mountain fruit. We started up there purchasing some fruit from Randy Dunn, who's really the godfather of Howell Mountain. But we are now back with Dunn Vineyards. We did spend some time sourcing some fruit from elsewhere, and so the Dunns now have a little bit of fruit that they're willing to share with us. So we're super happy to be back with the Howell Mountain up on Dunn Vineyard. So let's give that a little swirl and just get those aromas, and I wish you could actually smell what I smell, because these are beautiful, beautiful wines. Gotta spit that out. I've been tasting most of the morning, so yeah. Anyway, that is gorgeous. That is actually a beautiful way to end this tasting for me. Howell Mountain. It's got this lush blackberry, black cherry. It smells like baking a pie, blackberry pie baking on a summer morning. It's just got this beautiful ripe fruit, but then you get that little bit of toastiness. And in this vintage, we're doing about 50% new oak and 50% 1-year-old and 2-year-old oak. As it could hold a lot more oak, we really are hoping for the flavors to come through with those bright fruit flavors. There's a little bit of licorice that's starting to come on, and a little bit of chocolate. So these mountain fruit vines, the soils are well drained, and they struggle a little bit more than on the valley floor. The valley floor ends up kind of collecting a little bit more water and from the rain, and so the mountain fruit ends up having to work harder, struggle harder, but it makes the fruit better. It makes the fruit more intense. It can be a little more tannic in some years, but this is just not one of those years. Fruity, juicy. Boy, I know this is going to spend some time in the barrel, but it just doesn't. It's ready. It's like it just tastes so beautiful right now, and it'll go through phases. There'll be other days when I'll come in and taste out of the barrels, and we'll go, well, maybe not as good today. But that is a solid backbone. It'll age for a long time, but this is one of those wines that's going to be ready on the sooner side because it's lush and it's fruit forward, and there's a youthful vigor to it. But it's smooth, and there's a creaminess as well. So thank you for joining us in the cellar today. It was just time to come in and taste the wines after they've been resting over the holidays and settling down in the cellar after going through primary and secondary fermentation. Next week, we're going to be out in the vineyard. We're getting ready to do some pruning. It's time to give those dormant vines a little bit of a haircut. So we can decide what's going to happen with them in the spring for bud break and see what will happen with them for the rest of the growing season. But luckily for us, we've had lots of rain. We're not done. We were hoping for more, but we've had plenty of water that won't alleviate the drought that we've been going through, but it certainly is going to help, and it'll really replenish those vines. So next week, we won't be in the kitchen or in the cellar, but we'll be out in the vineyard. So thank you for joining us now, and we hope that you'll join us next week for Kari in the Vineyard. Bye for now.